Hello, Alicia. Great to be back here diving deep again.
Hi, Jared. You too. And welcome everyone to Vibrations and Manifestations.
So let's talk about those moments, those times in life that feel less like a gentle current and, well, more like a wrecking ball just came through.
Oh, yeah. That specific, almost terrifying feeling when the familiar structure of your life just starts crumbling.
Exactly. The walls are cracking, maybe the job goes sideways, or a relationship that felt like bedrock just evaporates.
And you're standing there looking at the rubble, the dust settling, facing this sheer uncertainty.
And the first thought almost always is, I failed. I messed up. This chaos. This can't possibly be the path to the life I'm trying to build.
It really feels like the ultimate vibrational contradiction, doesn't it? Because in those intense moments when everything feels unstable, our deepest instincts are just screaming that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
We mistake that raw, messy, confusing uncertainty for rejection. We think our efforts are manifesting our intentions. Somehow they just didn't work. They failed us.
Or worse, that we failed.
Right, okay, so let's unpack this today.
Yeah.
Because what we're exploring really flips that script completely.
It does. The idea is that this instability, this chaos, what we often call the messy middle, it's not a punishment. It's not a mistake.
It's actually the mandatory required process of reorganization, a transformation happening right under the surface of the breakdown.
And what's so fascinating is how this phase is framed as the sacred in-between. It's like
Yeah.
this quantum pause state.
Where the energy of the old reality, the old patterns, is literally dissolving.
But the new, truly aligned reality hasn't quite solidified yet. Not in the physical world, anyway.
So our mission today on vibrations and manifestations is to really dig into this transformation at two levels that perfectly mirror each other.
Exactly. We're looking at the intensely personal, the micro-level experience of breakdown and rebuilding.
And how that's reflected in the global collective, the macro level shifts we're seeing all around us.
We want to show you why the physics and the spiritual principles governing both of these levels are essentially identical.
We're diving deep into the principles arguing that this profound instability, whether it's, losing a job, seeing a system fail, a relationship ending, it's not the universe punishing you.
No, it's actually what we might call divine redirection, a course correction.
And we're going to explore the neurobiology behind it, like why your body physically resists this kind of change, even when your soul might be ready.
And then the quantum mechanics piece, how the universe must literally disassemble structures, circumstances that no longer match your new elevated frequency. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so to really grasp this idea of transformation through breakdown, we have to start with a foundational principle, mirroring.
Right, the idea often summed up as below, so above, or maybe as within, so without.
Precisely. It suggests that the deep personal cycle, the breakdown, the shedding of old skin, the rebuilding, it's perfectly reflected in what's happening in the world right now on a collective scale. And when you step back and look at the big picture, the macro level, wow, that connection feels incredibly tangible, doesn't it?
It really does. We see massive societal instability everywhere. Governments, economies, social structures.
But the argument here isn't just that things are chaotic, it's that this collective struggle is a large-scale reflection of an internal, necessary process happening within each of us.
Exactly. We're living through this period of simultaneous systemic upheaval. Think about it. Governments that seemed rock solid for decades are suddenly unstable.
Foundational institutions, finance, education, healthcare, they're cracking under immense pressure. You can feel it.
And the collective story, the narrative that society used to kind of agree on, it's become chaotic, fractured, inconsistent.
But the key point here is that this isn't seen as arbitrary failure. It's not just random bad luck on a massive scale.
No, but hold on, because it's really easy, Jared, to hear that and think, okay, but that sounds like spiritual bypassing.
That's a fair point. When institutions fail, people lose their homes. When systems break down, conflict arises, real suffering happens. How do we square this idea of necessary collective recalibration with the genuine, often devastating pain people experience? Isn't that just letting ourselves off the hook?
That's absolutely critical to address. This perspective isn't suggesting the breakdown is painless or that we should ignore the suffering. Not at all.
Okay. So what is it suggesting?
It's offering a framework for understanding the mechanism behind the pain, behind the chaos. The argument is that the old scaffolding, the political, social, cultural structures we inherited, they're shaking.
Not because they're being randomly attacked.
But because they structurally cannot hold the higher vibrational potential that humanity collectively is starting to access and embody, they weren't built for this new energy.
Ah, okay. So if the collective frequency, the overall human consciousness is rising, then those older, denser, more restrictive, or maybe just plain unaligned structures, they have to destabilize. They can't contain it.
That's the core idea. The current societal breakdown is like the world undergoing a massive mandatory shedding of its skin. It has to release the old form to allow the new state of being to emerge.
It's like the renovation crew showing up, but on a global level. Unexpected, messy, disruptive.
Exactly. Uninvited, often.
Yeah.
Now, let's bring that same lens, that same analogy back down to the personal, the micro level.
Okay.
When that renovation crew shows up at your house, the house of your identity, your life structure.
Tearing down the wallpaper of your career title. Ripping out the floorboards of a relationship that was comfortable but maybe limiting.
Yeah, you're suddenly left standing barefoot in the dust, completely disoriented. Everything familiar is gone or in pieces.
And the discomfort is just intense because, as this perspective suggests, your higher self, or maybe just the next more authentic version of you, it can't build on those old cracked foundations.
It demands a total rebuild.
Yeah.
Starting from a new place of truth, of alignment.
The crucial shift in perspective is seeing that discomfort not as proof of destruction, but as proof of construction. The mess means work is underway.
Let's make this more concrete with some real stories, some anecdotal evidence of this redirection principle in action.
Good idea.
Let's start with the story of the dream apartment. We heard from a listener. Let's call her Sarah. She had manifested what she absolutely believed was her perfect living space.
Like ticked all the boxes.
Everything. Perfect sunlit apartment, river view. The rent was exactly right. It timed perfectly with the promotion she'd just gotten. She visualized it for months. Every detail lined up. It felt meant to be.
Signed the lease, maybe even bought some new furniture in her head, mentally moved in.
Totally. And then just 1 week before moving day, the phone rings. The landlord. Some sudden, completely unexpected family issue on their end. The apartment was off the market, just like that.
Oh, wow. Devastating.
Completely. She felt utterly tricked by the universe. All that high vibe work, all that certainty, just evaporated into panic, confusion, and frankly, anger.
Because it wasn't just losing an apartment, right? It was losing the feeling of certainty, the trust in the process.
Exactly. That emotional devastation is key. She felt like she'd failed the manifestation process itself. But fast forward 6 weeks, she's desperate, needs a place, she finds a listing. It's smaller, not as glamorous, honestly, a bit of a compromise compared to the dream place.
She takes it out of necessity, not excitement.
Right. But here's the kicker, the detail that really illustrates this divine redirection principle.
Okay.
The compromise apartment puts her next door to someone, just a neighbor connection at first. But this neighbor wasn't just friendly.
They became
Her closest collaborator, her future business partner. And that partnership launched her into a whole new professional chapter 1 that turned out to be far more aligned with her deeper purpose than the promotion she was originally celebrating when she found the first apartment.
Wow. So the universe wasn't rejecting her desire for a great place.
It was correcting the path. The dream apartment, as perfect as it seemed, might have been a comfortable distraction. What she truly needed for her next level of alignment was that specific connection, that collaboration.
And that required her to be in a different physical location, the one that housed that necessary interaction. The perceived loss cleared the way for the real path forward.
Precisely. The loss wasn't the end, it was the setup.
Okay, let's look at another one. The job that collapsed. Similar theme.
Very similar. Another person actively manifesting abundance, purpose, financial freedom, doing all the journaling, the affirmations, holding the vision steady.
Feeling like they're really putting in the energetic work.
Absolutely. And then, bam, their comfortable, high-paying, stable job just dissolves. A sudden corporate merger, massive layoffs, completely out of the blue.
Again, the immediate reaction must have been failure, betrayal. How could all that conscious effort lead to this?
Yeah.
A catastrophic loss of income, stability.
Yeah.
The stress must have been immense.
Crippling initially. But here's where she made a conscious, really powerful pivot. This is key.
What did she do?
She chose actively to reframe the layoff. Instead of seeing it as a punishment inflicted upon her,
She saw it as
an assignment from the universe. She literally started asking herself each morning, okay, If this loss is actually setting me up for something better, what does my next most aligned step look like today?
That's a huge reframe,
Yeah.
shifting from victim to creator right in the middle of the crisis.
A massive shift in energy. And the result? Within just 2 months, she secured a high-level remote consulting role. It paid well, maybe even better.
And gave her way more flexibility than the old corporate job ever did.
3 times the flexibility. But here's where it gets really interesting, Jared.
Okay.
Because the job loss didn't just give her freedom, it forced her hand. With that new flexibility and perhaps the jolt of the layoff, she finally started the niche creative business she'd been sketching out, dreaming about for years.
Something the comfortable, stable corporate salary might have actually prevented her from having the guts to pursue.
Exactly. The stability was comfortable, yes, but it was also a golden handcuff. The collapse of that stable but ultimately unaligned job wasn't a disaster. It was the breakthrough disguised as a breakdown. Comfort often keeps us from making those radical, inspired leaps. The chaos forced the alignment.
Okay, so we can talk about divine redirection, shifting energy, higher selves. It sounds great conceptually, but the moment the phone rings with that bad news or the email lands, your nervous system, it doesn't really care about your vision board at that moment, does it?
Not one bit. It cares about survival, pure and simple.
Which is why this deep dive has to integrate the neurobiology. We need to explain exactly why the body fights transformation so hard, even when the soul, or the higher self, is totally ready for the upgrade.
Absolutely. Our bodies, our physical systems are biologically wired for predictability. Predictability equals safety in the primal brain.
So uncertainty, by its very definition, is perceived as the enemy of that survival mechanism.
Totally. When external stability dissolves the job, the relationship, the routine, the amygdala immediately kicks into high gear.
That's the brain's internal alarm system, right? That little almond-shaped part deep inside.
That's the one. And it interprets the unknown as fundamentally unsafe. It doesn't wait for context. It just reacts.
It's a primal fear response. I mean, foundational research by neuroscientists like Joseph Ledoux has shown this clearly. Sensory information, the bad news, rushes directly to the amygdala before it even gets fully processed by the conscious thinking part of our brain, the cortex.
So you feel the panic, the dread, the surge of adrenaline before you can even logically think through the situation. It's the same rapid response mechanism designed evolutionary to detect a predator lurking in the shadows.
Only today, that perceived predator might be a looming layoff notice, an unexpected bill, or the silence after an argument.
And the physical consequences of that alarm bell ringing are immediate. And crucially for us, they're debilitating for creativity and aligned action.
Because the amygdala triggers the acute stress response.
Flooding the system with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate climbs, muscles tense up, your breathing gets shallow, your focus narrows dramatically.
All necessary, biologically, for fight or flight, to deal with that perceived predator.
Right. But here's the really devastating part when we're talking about navigating change, manifesting new realities, and solving complex problems. It's what happens to the prefrontal cortex, the PFC.
The CEO of the brain, basically.
Exactly. The part responsible for all those higher executive functions. Planning, complex problem solving, logical reasoning, abstract thought, impulse control, and, critically, creativity and seeing possibilities.
And when cortisol levels spike from that amygdala alarm,
the brainstem essentially puts the brakes on the PFC. It temporarily powers it down, diverting all available resources to immediate reactive survival functions.
which explains perfectly why, when you're in the middle of that upheaval, you feel like you literally can't think straight.
Your memory gets fuzzy, you can't focus, your ability to see solutions or imagine a positive outcome just shrinks to almost nothing.
Your brain has literally hit the pause button on creative, forward-thinking capacity.
So when things are collapsing, whether it's personal stuff or watching instability on the world stage, those biological sirens are blaring. The panic, the inability to focus, that heavy feeling of despair.
That's not necessarily a sign that things are actually hopeless. It's biological proof that your nervous system hasn't caught up yet to your new, potentially higher frequency or the possibility of a positive outcome.
Yes. Your body is trying desperately to pull you back to the old, familiar, safe frequency, even if that old frequency was keeping you stuck or miserable or limited. Familiarity feels safer to the primal brain than aligned uncertainty.
Okay, but this is where we shift from just understanding the problem to actually doing something about it, right? thanks to neuroplasticity.
Exactly. The brain can change. Research from people like Richard J. Davidson and others in contemplative neuroscience clearly shows we have agency over this stress response. We're not just puppets of our amygdala.
The critical intervention is conscious self-regulation.
But how? How do you self-regulate when you feel like you're standing in the middle of a five-alarm fire? It feels almost impossible to just be calm.
It does. And it's not about pretending the fire isn't there. It's not about ignoring the reality of the situation.
It's about regulating the body's interpretation of the situation, changing the signal being sent back to the brain.
And the power lever for that is modulating the vagus nerve.
Ah, the vagus nerve, the superstar. It's that critical cranial nerve running from the brainstem down through the chest to the heart and gut. It's the main communication highway for the parasympathetic nervous system.
Which is the rest and digest, calm and connect system, the antidote to fight or flight.
Precisely. So by consciously calming the body, we are sending a direct physical signal up the vagus nerve to the brainstem.
A signal that says,
Okay, maybe we're not actually about to be eaten by a tiger right now. A simple, slow, extended exhale, for example, physically stimulates the vagus nerve.
and that stimulation tells the brainstem to dial down the sympathetic fight or flight response.
It dampens the amygdala's alarm bell and, crucially, allows the PFC, the thinking, creative brain, to come back online. You literally cannot access your highest wisdom, your most creative solutions, or your aligned intuition when you are swimming in cortisol.
You have to regulate the body first to reopen the channel to the mind's full capacity.
That makes the process feel much more actionable, doesn't it? It's not just think positive, it's breathe slower.
And every single time you consciously choose that slow breath or maybe some gentle movement right in the middle of the chaos, you are actively firing and wiring new neural pathways.
You are literally training your brain over time to associate uncertainty not just with danger and collapse, but with potential, with possibility, with the space where something new can be born.
That's the real scientific backbone of mastering this sacred in-between phase. It's neurosculpting.
Okay, now let's layer on the psychological resistance that runs parallel to the biological resistance. Let's talk about ego disintegration.
Ah, yes, the ego. Carl Jung talked about individuation, right? That lifelong process of becoming a more unified, whole, authentic self.
And a necessary, often painful step in that journey is the shedding of an old identity, the ego construct that was built primarily on external validation.
Things like job titles, financial status, relationship roles, possessions, even just fixed expectations of how life should be.
Exactly. When we lose one of those external anchors, the title, the income stream, the relationship status, the feeling of control, the ego doesn't just feel threatened, it feels like it's dying.
Because it equates that familiarity, that definition, with safety. I am a senior manager. I am married. I earn X amount. Without that external architecture.
The ego panics because it loses its sense of who it is, its definition dissolves.
And that psychological panic pours fuel on the biological fire. It feeds right back into that amygdala alarm response we were just talking about.
It's a feedback loop. The old self, the version of you built on maybe comfort, external validation, predictable routines, it cannot physically or energetically fit into the next expanded version of yourself that's trying to emerge.
So the crisis, the breakdown, is often simply the friction caused by the old, rigid identity fighting against the necessary expansion. It's resisting the upgrade.
So the struggle isn't the universe testing you or punishing you, it's the old software fighting the mandatory system update.
If you want the next version of yourself, the next level of your life, the old identity architecture simply has to dissolve first.
Integrating this, understanding the neuroscience of the PFC shutdown during stress and the psychology of ego disintegration when identity markers fall away shows us that resistance to change is deeply hardwired.
Which makes conscious regulation, conscious reframing, absolutely essential during these periods of breakdown and transition. It's not optional if you want to navigate it effectively.
Right.
Okay, so we've tackled the biology, the psychology of resistance. Let's pivot completely now and look at this whole breakdown phenomenon from the highest energetic level, from the quantum view.
Yes. If we operate from the principle that at the most fundamental level, everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is interconnected fields interacting.
And the question becomes, how does the universe, the quantum field, respond when we successfully manage to shift our internal frequency, despite the chaos?
This quantum perspective, I find, offers the cleanest, most elegant explanation for why physical structures in our lives actually dissolve and fall away.
It's not just metaphor.
Well, it starts with intention, but it becomes physical. When you declare a new intention not just casually, but with deep feeling and conviction for a new reality built on, say, purpose or freedom or profound love, you're not just making a wish.
You are fundamentally shifting the frequency you resonate with. You become, energetically speaking, a new radio tower, broadcasting a different signal into the field.
And the reality around us, the observable world, the circumstances, the people, the opportunities, it must physically respond to that new signal you're broadcasting.
It has to rearrange itself.
It literally has to rearrange itself to match, to come into coherence with that new frequency. And here's the profound mechanism of breakdown we've been talking about.
The old structures.
The people, the jobs, the limiting patterns, the financial situations, the relationships, they start to destabilize. They fracture. They fall away. Why?
Because they can't vibrate at the new rate.
Exactly. They cannot hold or vibrate in resonance with that higher, clearer, more coherent frequency that you have now consciously locked in through your internal state.
From our limited human perspective, standing in the middle of it, that looks and feels like failure, loss, destruction, we just see the empty space, the void where something used to be.
But from a quantum energetic perspective, it's pure phase transition. It's reorganization in action.
Can you give us an analogy for that? It's a bit abstract.
Sure. Think about the crystal lattice analogy. Imagine atoms locked tightly together inside a rigid crystal structure. They're stable, yes, but they're also limited in their movement, locked into that specific pattern.
Okay, like an old belief system or a life structure that feels solid but confining.
Precisely. Now imagine you inject a significant amount of new energy into that crystal. You raise its vibration, which, in our human terms, correlates to the depth, clarity, and sustained feeling of your aligned intention. What happens to the atoms?
They start to shake.
They shake loose. They can no longer maintain those old, rigid bonds holding them in the previous structure.
They reach a point of instability.
A phase transition point. The old structure literally dissolves, the bonds break. But they don't just fly apart into chaos permanently.
They reform.
They instantly begin to reform into new, often more fluid, more complex, and ultimately more coherent structures. A structure that is capable of holding and expressing that new, higher level of energy.
So that's what our life, our relationships, maybe even societal systems are doing when things fall apart. It's not demolition.
It's the necessary energetic transition phase. It's reorganization, not random destruction. The system is shaking loose to rebuild at a higher order.
Wow. Okay, so that reframes the collapse entirely. The breakdown becomes the physical proof that your internal energy shift has actually happened.
Exactly. If the old job or the limiting relationship or the frustrating financial pattern hadn't started to destabilize, that would actually imply your internal frequency hadn't truly shifted significantly enough yet.
The instability becomes the confirmation signal. Confirmation that the new energy is strong enough to force the rearrangement of the physical scene.
Yes. And this model of coherence causing destabilization of the incoherent. It connects directly to the core principles taught by mystics like Neville Goddard. He emphasized that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret, the creative act itself.
So if you can lock in and sustain the deep, unwavering feeling of, say, radical freedom and expansion.
That in any structure currently restricting that freedom, even if it's a job you love parts of but ultimately confining, must begin to destabilize. Its energetic hold on you has to loosen because it doesn't match the feeling you're embodying.
And this ties into modern metaphysical and quantum concepts too, right? People like Joe Dispenza talking about coherence, or Deepak Chopra on the observer effect.
Absolutely. The idea that our focused consciousness, our sustained energetic state, fundamentally influences the quantum field of possibilities by maintaining the high coherent frequency of our desired outcome, even when the outside looks chaotic.
We encourage the field to collapse its current probabilities and offer up new circumstances, new opportunities, new connections that do match that frequency.
You often hear the phrase, you can't take the old you into the new reality. We usually think of that psychologically.
But you're saying it's also literal, energetically.
It's energetic necessity, the quantum structure, the vibrational signature of the old self, the old patterns, the old limitations. It's literally incapable of maintaining stability at the new, higher frequency you're aiming for. It's too dense, too rigid.
So the discomfort we feel during the transition is just friction.
It's the friction created when a high-frequency signal tries to run through old low-frequency wiring. The system needs an upgrade.
Okay, so let's synthesize this quantum view. The breakdown, the mess, the profound discomfort, it's not a cosmic malfunction. It's not punishment.
It is the undeniable physical evidence that your internal energy landscape has shifted significantly, and the external scene, the physical reality, is now playing catch-up. It's reorganizing to match your new broadcast.
The real challenge then becomes holding that new high frequency steady while the world around you is still in that messy, transitional, under construction phase. Which brings us perfectly to the practical application. This is for you, listening right now. If we accept that the wobble, the instability, is actually a sign of positive rearrangement.
How do we stop the body's primal programming from hitting the panic alarm constantly? And how do we consciously hold on to that new high frequency when we're surrounded by what looks and feels like physical and systemic chaos?
Where do we start?
We start with regulation. We have to consciously override that amygdala alarm with physical action. And the most immediate, powerful tool is breath work, specifically designed to target vagus nerve regulation, like the I am safe breath practice.
Okay, let's guide everyone through this briefly. If you can, find a comfortable seat right now. Just allow yourself a moment to settle.
Go ahead and place one hand gently on your upper chest, over your heart space, and place your other hand on your lower abdomen, below your navel. This physical touch helps anchor your awareness in your body.
Now, when you're ready, take a breath in through your nose. Make it very slow, very smooth. Try to draw the air deep down into your diaphragm so you feel your lower hand rise first, more than your chest.
Hold the breath gently at the very top, maybe for just a count of 1 or 2, no strain.
And now, exhale extremely slowly through your mouth. Imagine you're gently blowing out through a thin straw. Empty your lungs completely. Feel your shoulders drop.
Just notice how even one breath like that can start to wash away some of the immediate static, that urgent mental chatter, maybe some physical tension you were holding.
As you continue this slow, gentle rhythm, slow inhale through the nose, even slower exhale through the mouth, begin to pair it with an intention. Silently repeat to yourself, aligning the words with the breath.
My body is safe. Inhale that knowing.
My life is reorganizing in my favor. Exhale, releasing the old fears.
Just continue that for a few more rounds. My body is safe. My life is reorganizing in my favor. Doing this simple practice, even for just 2 minutes when you feel overwhelmed, is incredibly profound.
Let's break down why it works. Mechanically, that slow, extended exhale physically lowers cortisol levels. It directly stimulates and balances the vagus nerve.
Which immediately sends a signal to your brain that the perceived threat is manageable. It starts to turn off that blaring fight or flight alarm.
And the words, the affirmation, when repeated with focused intention and anchored by the touch on the heart, tapping into the heart's powerful electromagnetic field, provide the new signal, the aligned truth.
You're feeding your cells, your nervous system, a different message, overriding the old stress signal with safety and positive expectation.
Okay, so that breath practice is the immediate foundation for regulation. Now let's talk about the 3 key anchors for navigating this in-between time. We call it manifestation debug mode.
Yes, designed specifically for when uncertainty hits hard and things feel like they're going sideways.
Anchor number 1 is reframe the breakdown. You have to catch yourself when you fall into that downward spiral of the victim mindset.
That agonizing loop of, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? This isn't fair. That narrative keeps you locked in the low frequency of fear and powerlessness.
The moment you notice it, you have to create an immediate pause. Take that slow breath, and then instantly pivot by asking a creator mindset question.
Questions like, okay, how is the situation actually clearing space for something greater? Or what new aligned pathway is being created for me right now, even if I can't see it yet? Or even just, what is this trying to teach me?
That single cognitive shift, asking a possibility-focused question, acts like a vibrational pivot. It reroutes your focus from judging the past loss to anticipating the future potential. It literally starts to change your brain chemistry in that moment.
Yeah.
It's an act of conscious faith.
Anchor number 2, anchor daily.
Wow.
This is non-negotiable, especially when things feel shaky. Regardless of how unstable the external world looks, the news headlines, your bank account, the relationship status, your internal energy field does not have to match it.
You have to create small, consistent daily rituals that deliberately anchor the feeling and frequency of your desired future reality into your present body, right now.
This could be super simple. Maybe it's a 5-minute visualization each morning before you get out of bed. vividly imagining yourself living in the solution, feeling the feelings.
Or it could be keeping a tiny future gratitude journal, just 3 lines each night describing the feeling of freedom or abundance or connection that you are calling in, written as if it's already here.
Or maybe you record a quick voice memo on your phone, speaking to your future, already aligned self, detailing how grateful you are that this current challenging situation resolved perfectly and led to something amazing.
The point of these small acts isn't necessarily to force the outcome faster. It's to teach your body to recognize the vibrational signature of the desired life. You're making that future frequency feel familiar, normal, and safe to your nervous system, even while the external structure is still wobbling.
And the third anchor, which is often the most challenging for our action-oriented minds, is get comfortable with the unknown.
Oof. Yeah. We are deeply wired to fear the void, aren't we? We tend to view uncertainty, the space where we don't know the answers, as empty, dangerous, or a sign of failure.
But in truth, from this energetic perspective, the unknown is profoundly fertile. It's the quantum soup of pure potentiality. It's the space where old, limiting timelines can finally collapse.
And where radical new possibilities, things you couldn't have even imagined from your old state, can emerge. It's where miracles germinate, outside the confines of the old structure.
So every time you can consciously choose to rest in uncertainty without frantically trying to force clarity, without rushing to fill the space with busy work or premature decisions, without demanding answers right now.
You are strengthening a vital capacity, like an alignment muscle.
Exactly. You're demonstrating trust in the process. You're affirming that you believe the crystal lattice is shaking loose for a good reason, even if the new structure isn't visible yet. You're holding space for the magic.
Okay, so we've regulated the nervous system, we've reframed the breakdown, we're anchoring daily, and we're practicing resting in the unknown. Now we get to what might be the most powerful tool for actively co-creating and accelerating this necessary reorganization process.
Yes, the technique we're calling the rebuild visualization. And it's crucial to understand this isn't just passive daydreaming or wishful thinking.
This is a deep, deliberate reprogramming exercise. It works directly with your nervous system and your energy field to help smooth the transition.
We really need to understand the fundamental function here. It's about consciously providing your body, your subconscious mind, your entire energetic system with a clear template of the new desired reality.
By doing that, we help bypass the amygdala's fear-based resistance to change.
And we accelerate the process of energetic and eventually physical reorganization. We're giving the universe clear instructions, energetically speaking.
So for the next several minutes, we really invite you to actively engage with this. Find a spot where you can be still. Maybe close your eyes if that feels right for you.
Find a spot where you can be still for just a few minutes. Release the expectation of having to figure things out right now. Just be present.
If you're sitting, feel the surface beneath you holding your weight. Really notice that support. If you're standing, notice the quiet, supportive push of the ground against your feet. Feel that connection. Now take one slow, deep inhale through your nose. Allow your shoulders to relax slightly as you fill your lungs.
Hold that breath for a quiet beat. Just pause. Now exhale fully through your mouth. Imagine you are releasing static, releasing mental noise, tension, and the need to control the outcome. Let it go.
Now picture yourself standing at the threshold of a place you know well. Maybe it's your home, your studio, your workspace. Just bring that image to mind.
Real change requires clearing the foundation first. So notice how the air feels charged in this space now. Different. The walls, the familiar objects, those old patterns, they're beginning to shimmer at the edges, like heat rising off pavement on a hot day.
With each breath you take, the scenery starts to loosen. Paint flakes off. Furniture begins to fade. The floorboards under your feet might hum with a gentle vibration. Feel that shift.
Realize this isn't destruction, it's transformation. The structure you built on an outdated frequency is gently dissolving, molecule by molecule. This is necessary clearance, making space.
Let yourself breathe through the necessary unease that might arise. Allow it to pass through you. Don't hold on to it.
Whisper inside your mind, I am safe in the change. Feel that safety.
Now, as the old world melts away, A soft golden light begins to pulse from your heart center. It's warm and steady, expanding outward in gentle waves.
Watch as each pulse replaces what's falling away with pure possibility, new architecture forming from energy and your intention.
Look down in your mind's eye. Where rubble once was, roots of light are now spreading through the ground, weaving a new foundation. A foundation of clarity, trust, and alignment. Your alignment?
As the dissolution settles, we move to creation. Not as some fixed destiny, but as the accumulated result of small, aligned choices you make right now.
Exactly. So now, imagine the space ahead of you opening up, like a horizon after a storm has passed. The air smells clean, alive, fresh.
In the distance, you can see faint outlines appearing. Structures, opportunities, connections, still translucent, not yet fully physical. They represent the next iteration of your life, waiting for your intentional energy to solidify them.
Take another deep, expansive breath in through your nose. And on your inhale, gather the feeling of everything you truly desire. Not the specific objects, but the essence, the feeling of it. Peace, creative flow, love, stability, freedom. Gather that feeling.
Hold that breath in your chest for just a moment. Feel how expansive that possibility is within you. Now, as you exhale slowly, send that powerful feeling outward into the forming landscape ahead. Watch as a golden mist fills those translucent outlines, giving them weight, shape, reality, infusing them with your intention.
You see the mist solidify. It bends and forms pathways. New friendships, perhaps, new projects, new habits, everything aligning to your higher rhythm, to that feeling you just consciously sent out.
You begin to step forward. Each footfall lands on solid light that becomes ground beneath you. There's no need to rush this. Move at your own pace.
Every step is a declaration. I trust this process. Feel that trust with each step.
Notice the pulse of the universe seeming to sync with your own heartbeat, a gentle rhythm.
Ahead, a new doorway materializes. It's luminous, carved from the same golden energy that's flowing through you and around you.
Recognize that this door leads to alignment. It leads to the next iteration of your life that already exists in energy, waiting for you.
When you feel ready, reach out for the handle of this golden door.
As your hand touches it, feel a wave of calm move through your whole body, a sense of arrival.
Now step through.
You're standing now in the new version of your world. Notice how the light here feels different, perhaps richer, more alive.
Sense the future you've been calling in all along. Not someday, not if, but here, now.
Look around this new space. Notice what's present. Maybe the people who match your frequency, the work that feels like true purpose, the sense of ease that hums through everything.
Let your senses record this moment. The temperature of the air, any faint sounds, the emotion sitting peacefully in your chest. This is your energetic signature of alignment. Remember this feeling. Anchor it.
Take another full breath now. As you inhale, think, I receive. As you exhale, think, I release what no longer fits.
Feel yourself rooted in this new vibration. You are the bridge between what was and what's becoming.
Now, when you're ready to return fully to your surroundings, imagine that entire new structure, that expansive feeling, gently condensing. See it condensing into a small, steady, warm glow right at your heart center.
This light stays with you. It's portable alignment. It serves as your internal compass, no matter what unfolds next in your day or week.
Take a final moment to anchor that quiet knowing within you. Allow your mind to slowly transition back toward analytical thought, gently.
Start to bring your awareness back to the room around you. Notice the sounds nearby, the light behind your eyelids, the temperature of the air on your skin.
Maybe wiggle your fingers, your toes. Gently bring movement back.
And as you open your eyes whenever you're ready, carry this quiet knowing with you. Nothing is falling apart. Everything is rearranging for your highest good. You're not rebuilding from scratch. You're rebuilding from truth.
Okay, So the recap is critical. Breakdown isn't random chaos, it's pattern correction, it's divine redirection.
It's the physical manifestation, the proof that your internal energy has shifted, and your higher self, your soul's wisdom, is now dismantling what simply cannot hold the next more expanded version of you.
We explored how to work with your biology, how to consciously regulate your nervous system using breath and awareness so you can start interpreting uncertainty as expansion, as potential, instead of just threat.
And the crucial internal shift we kept coming back to, you are not being tested for worthiness. This isn't a punishment.
No, you are being invited to demonstrate readiness. You're being invited to build trust, trust in yourself, trust in the process. The universe is essentially asking, can you hold the energy, the feeling of what you desire, even when the outer evidence looks wobbly, even when the bank account feels uncertain, even when the path isn't clear?
You remember connecting this back to the macro scale, the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Your individual alignment truly ripples outward.
Absolutely. When you successfully regulate your personal energy field, when you pivot from fear to possibility, you are literally contributing to the collective calm, the collective coherence that our communities and global systems need to rebuild from in a healthier way.
Acting from your own place of alignment, however small it feels, models a new kind of leadership for the world around you. You are an essential part of the collective rebuild. Never doubt that.
And the most actionable pivot, the one takeaway to keep in your back pocket for when fear inevitably hits. The next time you find yourself standing amidst the ruins of something familiar that's falling away, just pause.
Instead of defaulting to that painful question, why is that happening to me?
Try whispering, maybe with one hand on your heart, taking that conscious, regulating breath. What is this clearing the way for?
That single question, asked with genuine curiosity, immediately reopens the channel. It shifts you out of paralyzing fear and back into radical faith, back into co-creation.
So, the final provocative thought we want to leave you with today, something to carry forward and perhaps journal on. If everything you are currently labeling as chaos, disaster, or demolition in your life is actually a guaranteed, divinely orchestrated construction site working out perfectly in your favor.
What single immediate decision or shift in perspective or perhaps act of courage would you make today if you knew with absolute certainty that the construction was guaranteed to succeed beautifully? Sit with that knowing. Anchor into that certainty.
Thank you for joining us on Vibrations and Manifestations. Hold that frequency.
Until next time.